Hello, and welcome to episode 65 of Flix in the Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo, with me, forever and always, the man, the myth, Magoosh, Alessandro Biolsi. Say hello, Al.
It was the taste of betrayal, you fucking whore.
Joining us for the first time, all the way from the Peanut Gallery, Dominick Biolsi.
Hey, cousin Anthony.
So good.
He's been promoted from the Peanut Gallery to full guest co-host.
And that's like officially all of my Biolsi cousins are now members of the show. It's fantastic.
Also, you may hear a little bit of another Biolsi because Dominick's dog Dexter is whining periodically behind us.
Is Dexter officially Dexter Biolsi? Is that a thing?
Well, I'll tell you what he's not. He's definitely not George Oscar Biolsi.
All right, fair enough. All right. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about some obligatory Halloween topics, Marvel reboots under the MCU, Netflix in theaters, and other assorted news and nuggets, all before diving into our flick of the week, I Love You, Man. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
We are drinking the long-awaited return of Al's Ales on the show. We are drinking Al's Ales RyePA.
Nice.
Now, that is rye, as in the grain, PA, an IPA made with rye.
PA, I peed in it. Al.
Well, in case you haven't noticed in the very brief talking that I've already done, my voice is not great today. Oh, that's going to be a problem. It's a little hoarse. It was surviving most of the day up until a couple hours ago. My allergies hit pretty bad. I was coughing a lot, so I am
So you're saying
hoarser than a horse. So you're going to hear me cough. You're going to hear me clear my throat. You may hear me blow my nose. I will try and mute the stuff occasionally, but I can only do that if Anthony's talking, not if me or Dominick is talking.
True.
Well, I really can't talk and blow my nose at the same time. So when Dominick's talking, I will try to refrain, or maybe I'll just run away.
Just go with
quietly.
it. Just blow your nose like in the background.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Just hop off. Just be on the side.
With the real microphone now, it's not like it picks up everything, including
The show is
ticking of
raw,
clocks 2 floors upstairs.
Oh my goodness. So tell us a little bit about this beer. Actually, before you do that, I've got a question for you. Floating on the top of the head of the beer is a interesting caramel color, like a little swirl of it. Could just be a me thing. Curious if there's any reason for that.
Do you have something weird in your glass? Because
No.
mine, well, it does a very, very thin head, and only a smidge of carbonation. It was a little undercarbonated for whatever reason. I don't have anything weird floating, other than if you pour out from the bottom, you may notice some hop sediment floating around.
That might be
because
what it is.
This was pretty generously hopped, but that should look like flakes or little chunks.
Maybe they turned into like a syrup at the bottom. That's good.
No, that shouldn't have happened.
It's a little bit floating on the top, and I just poured a little bit more from the bottom of the bottle, and then it did the same thing. But whatever, we're just gonna go with it. I'm all right with it.
It is an IPA that was made with rye. I think it was about 6.5% alcohol by volume. I think it was about 50 IBUs. It is made with 20% rye because I didn't want to overdo it for this one, but I wanted you to know it was there. That was the that was the characteristic I wanted to come out of the beer most strongly. It's hopped generously enough. It's got a little bit of a dry hop, but again, I didn't want that to overwhelm. Although I will say the dry hopping was something of a failure with this one. It does not have much aroma, which I do not know why. There's not a good reason for it. I used a perfectly adequate aroma hop for the dry hopping. For whatever reason, it's very muted.
It smells fantastic to me.
It smells like beer. It smells like good beer. It just doesn't smell hoppy like an IPA that's been dry hopped should smell. Of course, I'm sniffing. I've drank several of these already. I know what it smells and tastes like. But I'm doing it, and I can't smell that well right now.
I'm very excited about this. It's long awaited for, and I can't wait any longer. So cheers.
Cheers.
I almost destroyed that glass on that. Cheers. I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Before we continue, take another decent-sized sip and just let it sit on your palate.
Okay.
Before you swallow for, a second or two.
Okay.
What do you detect? Both of you.
No idea. There's certain aspect of it that reminds me of like a typical Oktoberfest beer.
Okay, interesting. I don't know why that particularly would be what you'd come up with, but no, that's okay. So what I would say is you should detect some spiciness on your palate. Very subtle. Not
like
spicy as in hot pepper.
A little
spicy.
a little tingling tongue action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. What's that?
A little spiciness as in pepper, not hot pepper.
Okay, I wouldn't. I don't know if it's almost like tangy. That's what I got. Okay.
Cool. So that is the rye. You can think of it's not exactly the same experience, but similar to the way that rye whiskey tastes. You should.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Notice that same aspect.
That's like one of those things. After you tell me, I could pinpoint that. That's pretty cool.
That's why I was wondering if maybe you noticed it but couldn't identify it.
Oh, I like that now, though.
Because when I took the first,
you know, I'm a huge fan of Ryes.
Yes, I do.
So
as am I.
Yeah.
The reason I described it like that was because the first time I took a sip of it, I was like, man, I didn't really taste it. So I took another bigger sip and let it just sit. And I was like, oh, there it is. I found it.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that for every sip now. That's nice. Well done, Al. Damn.
Thank you.
Move over. Who was the one that's on top right now? Like the one that like never fails us? I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, the porter?
No, the brand of beer that we've been getting. I can't for whatever. Jack's Abbey.
Jack's Abbey.
Move over, Jack's Abbey. There's a new man here. This is quite good. Dominic, what are your thoughts? I know that he's a polite person, and even if he didn't like it, he probably wouldn't say it. So what I really wished he would have said is like, or just as he took his first sip, if he just spit it out, that would have been great. And you just in disgust stormed away.
So I definitely tasted that rye flavor typical on RyePAs. It actually reminded me of a rye whiskey that I had in Pensacola, Florida. So for those of you who don't know, living down in Panama City, Florida, which is kind of not there. But anyways, on a nice little weekend vacation to Pensacola, Florida, I stopped in at a whiskey place called Old Hickory, named after our illustrious president, Andrew Jackson. And I sat in there for a good hour or two trying various whiskeys there. And I'm not a big whiskey person, but anyways, long story short, definitely got that rye whiskey flavor in this beer, and I like it. I enjoy it. Good job.
Nice. Is there you said you're not a big whiskey person. Is there a particular one though that you do care for?
No, I've recently found that I do like whiskey drinks with real actual blackberries in it, like a blackberry whiskey.
Interesting.
It's something I really actually enjoy.
Huh. Like, can you give us an example of that? I have no idea what that would be.
Well, just you can see it actually at this place. They had a lot of funnily named ones. One was named after like a Harry Potter thing. It was like the Lucky Snitch, and it had they muddled real blackberries right in front of you and mixed it with the whiskey.
Oh, so it's more like a cocktail.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, cocktail guy.
I was gonna say I've never heard of that in a whiskey. I'm sure you could find that varietal.
There is actually a Canadian Club Dock blackberry whiskey. I had that when I was in college, and that too I enjoyed. But the cocktail, I'd say, was just fantastic.
Because typically, when I think of blackberry, if you're talking about spirits, it's brandy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's we don't often talk cocktails on the show, but I would like to bring up that a nice whiskey cocktail I appreciate. Usually bourbon cocktails.
You and I discussed this once briefly, but I don't think we discussed it on the show. And I guess we could tease it a little bit. I thought that, if you remember correctly, a couple weeks ago, I told you, when we get to Oscar season, we start doing Oscar movies.
Yes,
we're gonna class this joint up.
Pinkies up.
Pinkies firmly out as I think sample probably some wines and champagnes, maybe a whiskey.
Okay, I'm down.
Actually, if we're gonna do it, we should do like a Manhattan or something like that, or some like variation of a Manhattan.
Should we just do this during the actual Oscars and live stream it? Pinkies up, full tuxedos.
I'm on board with it.
All right.
Sorry if I know the audience can't see, but I'm surprised you didn't react to me and Dominic both pointing at the screen in front of us. We're watching the football game. It's not a good one, but for fantasy purposes, it's
porpoises.
Did I say porpoises?
Which porpoise
What a
is your favorite
slip!
now?
That's amazing.
Was it though?
Let's
Not
dive
amazing,
in,
a slip.
shall we?
Sure.
All right. First topic that I would like to bring up is just a timely one. It is Halloween season.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I also have a Halloween-related topic to discuss.
So we've got two. I've got two particular topics under here. We're going to start with the first one. We'll close it out with my third one. So we'll do yours in the middle. Halloween candy, general. This is not really related to the show or anything. I would like to know.
Did you have trick-or-treaters?
One. We had one.
One.
And we probably should have just dumped the entire bowl of candy in his bucket.
That would have been quite a feat.
Then we could guarantee that we'll always have at least one.
I'm surprised. Like, you're not like in like a big neighborhood, but there's plenty of houses around there.
A lot of residential space to walk through that's not a two-way, like a two-way street with a double yellow line. You know what I mean? Like, there's behind us, there's plenty of like more calm streets, and I think that's part of the reason.
You guys are on a very busy like thoroughfare type of,
and there's no sidewalk.
That's true.
So there is that, and I would prefer that we had a lot of trick-or-treaters because I love this season and I like that. I don't know if I would be happy or judge the parents if the kids came to our door.
I mean, I guess I'm picturing, it would be weird walking toddlers down that block, but like teenagers could do it themselves.
That's true. Well,
I cut you off about your candy point though.
So the candy point is this. I came across a tweet by a Brian Altano, who I really, really enjoy. He's on a lot of different IGN podcasts, and he's also on the Comedy Button.
That sounds like an IGN name.
And he threw out this tweet just that completely tearing apart Dots.
Okay.
As the worst candy.
That's probably not true.
It's definitely up there, and I was curious, what is your, hand in the bucket, no idea what's coming out. What's the best possibility and the worst possibility for you? I
think my favorite, I kind of vacillate occasionally, but I think consistently my favorite is Butterfinger.
Ooh, good choice.
But you?
I have to say that if I'm reaching my hand in, I'm hoping that they have some tropical Mike and Ike's. I know that's a little bit picky. I'll take regular Mike and Ike's.
That is a niche choice.
Yes.
Damn.
But
that was.
I can say the least favorite one that I'm looking for is an Almond Joy.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand the Almond Joy hate. Do uncivilized people not understand the joys of coconut?
So it's not coconut though.
Thing. Well, I don't know
coconut,
where he's
sorry,
going.
coconut adjacent product.
Coconut adjacent. Coconut mush plus chocolate. Here's the thing. Kim and I were actually just talking about this. Mounds greater than Almond Joy simply because of the dark chocolate factor. I don't think you're a fan of dark chocolate, if I remember correctly.
No, I don't mind dark chocolate.
Oh, okay.
I don't mind Mounds either. I think I just think that the mesh of it all is better with the Almond Joy. Although, having it pop out in one solid almond, I'm not a fan of that. I prefer it, I think, if they like chunked it up a little bit and kind of interspersed it through it.
That could be good. I would be okay with them keeping the solid almond, but just putting it inside of the Mounds because the dark chocolate plus the coconut and the almond would really be what I want. It's like,
I can see that.
It's like these two beautiful worlds that could be so perfect if they just stopped fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just don't understand the hate for it. I could see people like, I could go either way, but like some people like loathe it as like a plague on society.
that is true. Like the guy sitting right next to you. I'm kidding.
Don't get it.
But I do want to. We glossed over it way too quickly. Tropical Mike and Ike. That's quite the pull. I was really hoping that you would say that your least favorite was Mike and Ike. Like if it was just like you just drew the line at tropical. Like that's the best candy, and everything else is trash. That would be pretty funny. What's with the Mike and Ike resurgence lately? There's been a lot of billboards. There's a lot of audio advertisements that I'm hearing on radio and podcasts.
Have Mike and Ike struck back?
Yeah. And I'm not going to buy them. I'm just curious what happened.
Well, what I think they need to do is if they really want to become as popular as something like a Swedish Fish or a Sour Patch Kid, is the Sour Patch Kids have that great kind of advertising in their commercials.
They do. The Sour Patch Kids ones are fantastic.
Mike and Ike need to get into that.
If we're going to do it, we need a Mike and an Ike.
Exactly.
together,
right, so,
like the Sonic guys. There's those two guys.
Yeah.
yes.
We need a Mike and
Okay.
an Ike commercial.
Al, I think we need to audition for this.
Okay.
We'll make this happen. We'll pitch it. That's going to be our new thing, pitching commercials. Okay, so we got Dominick's best and worst case scenario. You gave us your best, Butterfinger. What's your worst?
I don't know if I really have a worst. Other than maybe some of those old ones that have basically faded away out of existence, like the flat Necco wafers, or like Good and Plenty's.
Here's the thing. That
I don't
totally
mind
gonna
licorice,
be my
but
worst.
it's just too much.
Good and Plenty is shit. It's plenty of garbage, is what it is, and there's no good. It's awful.
It's just bad and worse.
It's exactly what it is. I don't even know. Like you're only getting that from from 70 plus. 70 plus
it's like something
handed out
that
to Good and Plenty.
you only ever heard your parents or grandparents talking about.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody from my generation say they like licorice.
What's that?
I don't think I've ever heard anybody from our generation say they like licorice flavor.
Yeah, actually, that's another one that I feel like people hate on. You know what I actually don't mind? The big licorice Easter jelly beans.
The black one?
Yes, but not the black ones that are the regular size jelly bean that mix in with the other jelly beans.
Okay.
I don't like them surprising me like that. But my mom in the past at Easter time had gotten the big jelly beans, and they're all licorice ones. And when I get the mood to have a couple of them, I'd like it like that. But that's the only time of year I ever have them.
Jelly beans can teach you a little bit about life, especially with those licorice ones thrown in there. It might all look like sunshine and rainbows, but there's always going to be some shit you come along, and that's those licorice jelly beans. They suck.
Yeah, I don't like
They
them mixed
suck.
in with the general population of jelly beans.
I could see. So you're the on the you're fading out, right? You're fading out from liking licorice. You're on the fence where it's you have to know it's coming, but if you're surprised by it, it could be the worst thing ever.
Correct.
It's horrible, absolutely horrible.
Because it doesn't jive with the rest of them.
Licorice is trash. Good and Plenty is my least, would be the worst thing that could possibly come out of that thing. And the best, I'm really feeling the 100 grand these days.
That one's good.
I'm
it's
a
not
big
something
fan
I
of
have
100.
very often.
No, I feel like I remember a time when there wasn't 100 grand, and now there is one.
Do you remember the times prior to it?
That's what I think so, and I could be wrong about that. I know that these candy bars pretty much go back a long time, but for whatever reason, I remember it. I remember a time in my life not knowing about 100 grand, and then knowing about it, and it always being in the top tier of candy bars.
In the before times.
In the before times. All right. So what's your Halloween topic?
Mine is a very prescient topic, and that is I would like to discuss with you what my costume for Saturday may well be.
I'm so excited. Dominick, do you have a costume?
I do.
All right, good. I figured you wouldn't disappoint me. All right, Al, what are we? Are you gonna actually reveal it here, or are you just gonna drop hints?
Yes, because I'm going to run it by you.
Oh.
Because you have been a critic of my economical, we'll use that term lightly, method to choosing costumes.
For reference, fans of the show, Kim and I had a Halloween party at our first apartment, and Al showed up in a plaid shirt.
No. I showed up in a black t-shirt.
Okay, you put a plaid shirt on.
I put the plaid shirt on later after you guys kept yelling at me and people started showing up to the party.
And grabbed a roll of paper towel.
Correct.
And he was the Brawny Man. And it was not... It was perfect.
It was an excellent...
It was probably the best costume of the night.
No, your sister and her roommate being the...
That was pretty good, but there's something about the outside thinking and the $5 price tag of yours that really made it special.
That's what I think makes mine the MVP, the most valuable, for the bang for buck, for the sheer cleverness of the simplest thing in the world, which worked perfectly because I have, dark hair and I had a full beard. Mm-hmm. Without that, it wouldn't have worked as well. I only did it because I had a beard. And I did a similar thing last year, different crowd, and they weren't as receptive, even though it was slightly more involved.
I just don't know why you're going to Halloween parties with garbage people. That seems like your fault. I'm kidding.
Last year I went. I think I used the same. Sorry, we have a malfunction. Sorry. We had the same plaid shirt, I believe.
Okay. And
this may have been the same pair of jeans. And I went as Al Borland from Home Improvement.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Again, and this one was even more last minute. I actually came up with the Burning Man idea a couple of days before the party that time. This one, I literally settled on an hour before I got in the car to drive to the party. Because I was kicking it around with ideas. I don't even remember what it is. I had another idea that was so shitty. And someone threw this out, and I was like, actually, that could work. Because, again, he had dark hair, similar in length to me. Yep. He had a beard. And I feel like every shirt he was always wearing was a plaid shirt. So I just went downstairs and I found a tool belt. And I put the tool belt on.
Perfection.
And that was what I was doing. So you get the picture of the type of costumes that I've come up with over the years.
Right.
I had an idea, and me and Dominick really like it. The problem is it might be a smidge too niche because it's not even a character. It's a specific scene of a specific character.
Oh, God. Okay.
So I was thinking of going as Jason Segel from not I Love You Man, but Forgetting Sarah Marshall, when they do the montage of the week he spent on the couch.
That could be pretty funny.
And he does the Gandalf You Shall Not Pass.
Yep.
I was going to wear sweatpants and a white graphic tee. Actually, I think he's wearing a Batman shirt in that scene.
I believe he is.
White shirt with a black Batman insignia. Dominick has an Avenged
green sweatpants from Costco.
Green sweatpants from Costco, not from Sean John.
That's what it should say on the sweatpants. Just a patch that just says "Not Sean John."
Well, I don't have green sweatpants from Costco. I do have like gray ones that are similarly baggy, and I could probably put like a little tag on it that says like Costco or something like that. But yeah, Dominick has an Avenged Sevenfold band shirt that is a white shirt with the black logo of theirs, which is the Death Bat, which is a skull with bat wings coming out of it.
That actually will probably do.
Visually looks just like the Batman insignia on the shirt. So I was gonna bring. Dominick has a couple of like full size walking sticks, and it's perfect. I think.
I love it.
I was worried you were gonna yell at me, and that's why I was gonna run it past you.
No, that's fine. That's I'm just hoping at least one other person gets it without it having to have it explained.
Without me having to say, "You shall not pass."
If you walked in with that outfit and a walking stick, you would not have had to say a word. I would have said it for you.
Okay.
So.
I would think so.
I approve. I mean, it is also one of my all-time favorite movies.
I know, it's both of ours.
And definitely in like the top 3 comedies of all time.
I love that movie.
Oh, it's so good.
I think if Al dresses up as his character for this pumpkin Halloween fest, that the next episode you guys do has to be Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Mm. That one, we didn't do that, did we? We did that.
Well, that was what I was saying.
Or did we just talk about it so much that it feels like we did that?
This is exactly what I said to Dominick when we were talking about it. I think it was yesterday. We talked about it so many times that I can't remember if we did an episode or if it's just something we talked about so many times. Because I was talking to you. I went through the same thing with Ex Machina. I couldn't remember if we did an episode on it or if we talked about it so many times.
Right. Oh my God, that's really funny. I like that we have enough episodes that I don't actually know.
Well, that's the thing too. We have now reached, not that we've done a ton of episodes, but we've done enough that you could forget some of the things we've done.
I hope that we do the same episode one day. Just we forget, we do poor research looking up to see whether or not we did it, and we just do the same. And I hope our opinions are just completely opposite of what they were.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It'd be really great if we did it and halfway through realized, wait a minute, I think we did this, and I think I said the exact opposite thing.
In 5 years, we're doing Phantom Thread, and I'm saying how much of a masterpiece it is.
Who knows? In 5 years, maybe it can grow on you like that.
Happen. It's not going to happen. It can't grow on me. I'm never going to watch it again. I've got one other Halloween topic for you.
Okay.
And I think you're going to like this one because I'm bringing back a reoccurring segment.
Okay.
Al, Dominic, I would like to kill a narrative.
Nice. Dominic doesn't know about kill a narrative.
Okay, that's
Sorry,
fine.
I'm clueless.
No, actually, we've only done that on one other show.
Okay.
We're trying
But
to make it regular.
It was a recent one. It's a recurring segment we're going to use periodically when we have a narrative to kill. We will kill the narrative.
So, Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween, to be specific.
Okay.
Came out in 1979.
Did you see the new one? I haven't got around to it
I
yet.
did not see it yet. I will see it. I do want to. It actually does look. I really want to see it. I haven't seen the original Halloween in a very, very long time.
I've never seen it.
I remember thinking it was a great horror movie. And
a lot of people consider it so.
Right. And if you look things up, yeah, that's what you're going to see. Great movie. One of the best slasher films. One of the best original horror movies. Great. That's not true. Kim and I rewatched Halloween last night.
Well, that was the thing. I want to watch that before I see the new one.
And it is, you can. I have it available for you if you'd like to watch it. I watched it with Kim last night, and we were watching it, and I'm like, it froze for a second, so I just kind of rewound for 30 seconds, and I noticed, we're halfway, if not more, through this movie, and really not much has happened. It's very, very slow going. It is horribly acted. It is absolutely terrible.
Really?
And it's bad. And I can't wait. I do need for you to watch it so that we can discuss this. It's bad. And the craziness and all the things that you remember if you had seen it when you were younger or if you had seen it a long time ago, everything that you remember from that movie as being scary or like intense, that's like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Really?
The movie is actually hot garbage. Here's what's not garbage, and here's why this movie would be regarded as fantastic. The score is probably one of the most iconic scores of all time.
Well, certainly, like the theme is incredibly iconic. Like if you hear it, you already know, and you kind of get that skin crawling. Like,
and yeah, that it evokes you have a physical response to that music when it plays.
Yes,
and it's amazing, and it's some of the also this also suffers from older movie intro credits where they have to do all of the credits kind of up front. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. And rather than they didn't figure out just yet how to do opening credits.
Okay.
So rather than like there being something going on, it's just a pumpkin slowly moving closer to the lens, ergo making it bigger, and just a lot of names coming across the screen for a long period of time. The only reason why it works is during that entire time they're playing the theme song. But
so it doesn't have like the old timey, like, soaring score over like I'm thinking especially like old westerns where they like panning over countryside and like
nothing's like what they could have done is like a montage of deaths in the background. Honestly, they could probably have done the whole opening sequence while the credits were rolling. That's what we do now. Because we just assume people aren't paying attention.
And they didn't do like a Star Warsian text scroll?
No. nothing like that. I do encourage you. I encourage you, even if you love it, just bear with me. If you're a huge Halloween fan, I encourage you to rewatch it and really think about what's going on screen. Because it's not good. And that's it.
It's funny because like with the new one coming out, I've heard a lot of like whether it just be reminiscing or like just like outright like nostalgia type stuff about the old one, how it really set the bar and really kicked off all of the like 70s, 80s like slasher films. And
I can respect it as being the thing that started all of that. That's pretty cool. What I will say is, and this will probably get me condemned, the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween, the first Halloween that he did.
Is that H2O?
No. Rob Zombie remade Halloween.
Okay.
Like the original story, remade it. That's a better movie.
Interesting.
And I have been on the record here saying that Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, was the worst movie ever made. Until Phantom Thread. That being said, I'm very excited about this new one. I'm very curious to see where it goes.
Wait, actually, sorry. Important on the topic of Phantom Thread.
Yep.
What is the worst movie? Phantom Thread or Good Time?
I've been having an internal debate over this for a while now. And one of them is more offensive. And I think therefore makes it the worst movie. And the reason that is The Phantom Thread is because of the critical acclaim that it got is bullshit. I'm sorry, I really hate this movie.
Okay, so just the whole, like, the total of what the perception of it is in, like, the mainstream and the way everyone talks about it in comparison to the quality of the movie itself.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't being so stubborn, I would obviously say Good Time is probably the worst movie of all time.
Speaking of killing a narrative, Anthony killed and buried The Ringer because someone wrote a review of Good Time on it and it was glowing. Your response was,
well, we're done with this site.
Your response was nearly verbatim, well, this site lost all credibility.
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny. It was one of those things where, like, you always send me articles from The Ringer, and I'm just like, ooh, I should really get into regularly checking this place out. And then you sent me that one. I was like, well, that ship has sailed.
No, but I mean, think about as bad as, or as much as you disagree with that, how good was the oral history of Rounders?
No, that was great. That was really great.
Which we should probably do that eventually, too.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie. Dominic, are you a horror movie fan?
See, I have been permanently scarred. I saw Silence of the Lambs when I was young, and it just scared me senseless. So, plus when I was a kid, they were pushing the anti-tobacco and anti-cigarette ads and all that. And I remember when I was like 3 or 4 years old, seeing the commercial with the giant cigarette like chasing people to the Jaws music, and it just permanently like scared me off of scary movies.
That's amazing.
I know. In recent times, I can't say I've been watching more horror movies. I was, however, bored one day, and I like to go through YouTube and watch a whole bunch of different stuff on my favorite shows and movies and all that. And this one kind of site came up. It was all about like the gore count, like kill count of like horror movies, and it basically gives you the full plot of the movie. So that is where I first got information about Halloween. So in a very quick way, without actually watching the full movie, I saw the highlights and the first kills of Michael Myers. And I do agree with you that it's a little bit underwhelming, but the score is definitely fantastic.
I have 2 comments on Dominic vis-a-vis horror movies.
I'm sorry. I'm just picturing somebody smoking a cigarette and Dominic's just running away screaming.
I would run away screaming, honestly, during this commercial.
Speaking of runaway screaming, this is one of my 2 comments. 1, if you want a really good analogy or picture of Dominic and horror elements, for a couple of years as a child, Dominic ran away screaming every time the MGM lion came on screen.
He was a big, scary lion.
I remember. I think I've witnessed this.
I was going to say, you probably have seen it.
That's amazing. I have not thought about that in a very long time.
It's something that we hit him with every once in a while when we need to make fun of him. Also, I've been really thrown off. Can you please take your shirt off?
No!
Should I?
Yes.
Is that a thing we're doing?
It's a thing I do.
I guess that's what the Biolsis do.
Every episode for the last, 20 episodes.
I guess when in Rome.
Yes, take your shirt off. And the other thing is...
Oh, my God.
Nope, sorry, that's not it.
What a disaster.
The other thing is... I had Dominic sit down and watch Annihilation with me the other day.
Oh boy, that was a trip.
And he's like, halfway through, he's like, is this a horror movie? And I'm like, I mean, technically no, but functionally, hell yes.
Is this a horror movie? No. Am I terrified? You bet your ass I am.
Well, to me, I'm still thinking, even after we saw this last week, I still don't know if I like it or if it was even a good movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just so surreal, like you can't really describe it, Like
Yep.
when Al finally showed me Ex Machina, I really enjoyed it, and I don't know, was it the same director who made this movie
Yes.
as well? Okay, and also has some Oscar Isaac in both of it, so
Correct.
I could definitely see how they would make both of these movies. This director, it's just Annihilation. It threw me for a loop. I'm glad that I wasn't drunk or anything watching this because I think I might have shit my pants or something because that was a crazy
fair.
movie.
Yes, if you're listening to us and you are intrigued and want to watch Annihilation, I cannot stress to you enough. Please make sure you do not watch it while chemically altered.
Yes.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, there's some weird shit that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would say on that note, Ex Machina, definitely hands down fantastic movie. I think it's really well done, well executed, great story. But I am totally right there with you on Annihilation. I would have to see it again to maybe make another assessment of, is this a great movie? I think I like it.
I don't know if it's a great movie. It is definitely a good movie. I like it a lot. I've seen it 3 times now.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You've seen it 3 times. I'm not certain I'm ready to see it again because the first one was a total mindfuck.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'll say is seeing it again the second time, now knowing what was coming, I was able to actually process it as
just
I
can
a
see
movie.
that being a good thing.
Because one of the reasons it was one of the most unique things I've ever seen was the first time I saw it. It is the very rare occasion where when the big moments were happening, I had no idea what was coming next. And that almost never happens to me. Like every once in a while you'll catch me with a twist, but I've seen so many things that I typically have a pretty good indication of where anything is going. And in this movie, often I did not know where it was going.
We're not going to spoil anything here for Annihilation because we do think you should watch it and then you should listen to our episode on it. But that bear, that's all I need to say. That's all I need to say. That bear was terrifying. Whew. And you, Al, I asked Dominic, you're not a big horror movie. I don't think we've talked about this before. You're not huge.
Yeah, no, I think I've mentioned on the show before. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I've seen some, and I've enjoyed them plenty, but yeah, it's just not my thing. Like, I'm not like super into them. I am always drawn to them. There's certain ones that I really want to see. I will say, the jump scares and the supernatural horror movies really get me. And I don't like it. Everyone gets got by jump scares, but that's not interesting to me.
No, exactly. And I would much rather something either a little bit more psychological or just one thing that it does well. There's not a ton of jump scares in Halloween, which I appreciated in the 1979.
It's actually surprising because it's like one of the key calling cards of slasher flicks.
Yeah, I think it's 1978. I might have that wrong.
Yeah, that's the right year.
It's 40 years, right? But it doesn't have a lot of jump scares. What it does is it does rising tension fairly well, where like the first 40 minutes of the movie is just a really, really, really slow burn. You don't even realize that it's building tension, but I guess it adds to it like 40 minutes later. But that I kind of appreciate that because especially if it's done subtly, you don't realize you're being put on edge. Yeah, and then you realize how on edge you are, and
that sort of thing appeals to me. I mean, that's why something like that's if you change the details, that describes Ex Machina.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing or Annihilation, that's the stuff that draws me. The stuff that's going to make me think and that's unconventional like that.
And if it has that's the thing. Horror aspects. Yeah. I want to think, or I want to anticipate what's next. I don't want to just be caught off guard by a random jump scare for no reason at all. Because you're gonna get me with it. Yeah, you're gonna get everyone with it. Honestly, if you don't get caught by a jump scare, you might need to have your reflex checked.
No, everyone gets it from that. It's just a question of, I mean, like a lot of times you're like, okay, there's a jump scare coming, and you're just not 100% sure what direction or how loud it's gonna be or whatever. But like it's coming.
Yep. Ugh, I hate them. So stupid. Such a waste. It's also maybe you get a movie, but not when that's your whole dick.
Yeah, no, execution is certainly important. Like, it's not like every jump scare that I've ever seen has offended me. If it's done when I don't expect it in a movie that's not just built on it, then yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our Halloween topics as far as I know. You don't have any more of those, do you?
No, that's it for me. I do have several news and nuggets, though.
Same. So go ahead. Why don't you take one?
Well, I have 3 news stories, so let's get to a news story.
All right.
Do you want to hear about Game of Thrones, DC, or Avatar?
Let's get DC out of the way.
So you are familiar with the Birds of Prey movie?
Correct.
Today, it was a story that was broken by the Wrap. Ewan McGregor is in talks to play the Batman villain Black Mask as the key villain to the Birds of Prey movie.
Yep.
Which, that is a little surprising to me because he typically is not the bad guy. I guess I've seen him play a villain in like 1.5 roles. And
he's playing a character where they can hide his face just so that when the movie fails, maybe people will forget that it's him.
Could be. I guess it'll be dependent upon how much he shows his face.
That's true.
Because I don't think he wears it. It's not like a Bane situation where he has to wear it.
Yeah, it's not.
Are either of you aware of who Black Mask is?
Yes.
He's that guy.
Well, besides the picture of him, a guy in a black mask. Anyways, I'm assuming, Al, you're not really aware of him or his roles in anything in DC?
He's a Gotham City mob boss.
Well, thank you.
And Batman fell Black Mask.
Wow. You can read the article. I'm impressed. Anyways, for fans of the DC animated universe, which is far better than the real live-action universe, Under the Hood, which is about Red Hood, i.e. The second Robin, Black Mask does make an appearance in that, and he breaks the Joker out of prison, and he plays a role in that, and that's the first time I had seen Black Mask. He didn't have a huge part to play in the story, really. Honestly, the best part of his role was just the Joker in the room with him, because he hires the Joker to harass Batman, because obviously Batman is opposed to him. And the Joker is just listening to his big, villain spiel about how they could run Gotham City. And the Joker, in classic, trolley fashion, is just eating a bag of chips. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just like classic Joker thing, he asks for a glass of water. So the Black Man says, get him a glass of water. He breaks the glass of water, slits one of the henchmen's throats, shoots everyone in the room, and just starts laughing, in classic Joker fashion. And he says, all right, let's do this. And Black Mask is like, oh, well, this is what I hired him for. They're just goons. I can find more of them. But that's the
great.
Extent to which I know Black Mask and his role in that movie.
Yeah,
everyone knows that he is a brutally sadistic kingpin in Gotham City's criminal underworld. Sensation with masks.
Did you just read that exact verbatim?
How did you know?
That's amazing. That's so funny. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. This is how I feel about all DC news. Whatever.
Yeah, man. No, I less so the movie itself. I was interested by it being Ewan McGregor specifically.
Yeah, I that intrigues me. But this is how they get you. This is how they hook you, and I'm not falling for it this time.
It does look like it has a pretty good cast.
That's great. That's great. Does it have a good story?
Well, it's DC.
Is it going to be completely muddled by the production company?
I don't know actually, because I think Margot Robbie is producing and directing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And also, I believe we'll be portraying Harley Quinn in it as well.
That's great, but it depends on the level of interference there is, because it's the interference with those movies that causes them to be trash.
Sure, I just figured that you can't really fire the director if she is also one of the lead actresses.
Yeah, that would be weird, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them. Moving on.
Would it be like the Jonah Hill thing in the post credits of 22 Jump Street, where he's playing the Seth Rogen character, yes, and they don't acknowledge it?
Those movies are pretty funny.
They are.
I'm a fan of those. All right, what other? Let's move on. So let's do Avatar next.
Okay. Sigourney Weaver is already filming Avatar 4 and 5.
Would you say she has a big porpoise in it?
I don't think you're using the porpoise correctly, exactly.
No, that was good. I applaud that, Dominic.
It's not. I'm not gonna say you use it wrong. I just don't know if it was. It's like when you do a multiple choice thing. It's like choose the answer that most closely is like correct or whatever. I don't know if it's 100%. You could make
dolphin. Moving on. Who cares?
I mean,
No,
I
no,
enjoyed the first Avatar.
I did too, and I know a lot of people give me shit for that. I enjoyed it. It was a technical feat at the time, and I thought the movie was entertaining. So,
well,
whatever.
it's not just that. It's one of those things where it just depends on how, like, what the context is.
Mhm.
If you're acting like it was groundbreaking in any way other than the visual and audio,
Mhm.
then you are slightly misguided. It is Pocahontas in space.
Like, cameras were made for that movie.
Not just made, like created and designed. Like
Yes.
They didn't exist. That kind of camera didn't exist before this movie.
It's amazing. I love, like, that's so cool to me. But yeah,
And considering it's again going to be like another 10 years from the first one to the second one coming out, they're doing the same shit again, I think. They're keeping it pretty tightly under wraps for now.
It's going to be like a crazy, like, 4D experience. I'm very interested to see another one of these movies. You said she's filming for 4 and 5, you just said.
Well, Avatar 2 and 3 have now wrapped filming, at least on the actors' parts. We imagine the CGI will take a bit longer. It seems attention has now turned to making the other 2 sequels, with Sigourney Weaver recently revealing that she's busy doing Avatar 4 and 5 at the moment.
Are they going to release, like, a movie a year at some point?
I believe so. I
Is
think
that the goal?
It'll be the Lord of the Rings treatment, where
And
they
does it have, like,
shoot
legit Disney backing?
Is it Disney? Yeah, I guess so. It must be
Because
they have that in the park.
Yeah, I was going to say, regardless of how you feel about the movies or the sequels, if you want to go on the best theme park ride ever made, you need to go on the Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom in Florida. That thing is bonkers. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I've seen video of it or whatever. It looked like a lot was going on.
It's amazing. It feels so real. It's not short, which is one of the sins of those types of rides, is they just end, like, real quick.
Mm.
But it's what a treat. What a treat for the senses.
The only reason I really even brought this up, though, was because I thought we were pretty clear that she died in the first one.
I honestly don't remember. I would have to rewatch the movie.
Spoiler alert, guys, for the movie that came out in 2009.
But the sequel's just coming out now, man.
Yeah.
In
so
5 years.
I'm quite certain that she died in the first one, and it seems like she's going to be in 2, 3, 4, and 5, probably.
Maybe they preserve her in some sort of cryo freeze and attach her to one of those suit things.
Well, again, spoiler alerts for the movie that came out 9 years ago. When her human body was dying, they tried to transfer her consciousness via tree to her avatar body and failed because she bled out from her gunshot wound before it could possibly succeed. And then at the end, they do it to Jake Sully, and the final shot of the movie is him waking up in the avatar body.
Right. I'll have to rewatch that movie.
I mean, it's a pretty solid movie. It's one of those ones that's like always on FX.
Yeah. It's also always in the shelf.
One of the big things that they're probably going to try and deal with is that just as she's dying, she says, Awa is real, which is supposed to be their god. And I'm assuming that's part of her role in the next one, is possibly her combined with this spirit type of presence that Awa existed.
We can bring this all full circle if she sprouts a face in the trunk of the tree, like the willow tree in Pocahontas.
Yes. That would be amazing. Awesome.
Or even Game of Thrones with the weeping eye heart trees, you know?
Was that just like a wonderful segue setup? Is that what you did there? Or was that unintentional?
Kind of.
That's
I mean,
beautiful.
I don't know
You know
if
what?
we have...
I knew having you on the show was a good idea. Go on. Al, Game of Thrones
I'll
news?
let Al take...
Oh yeah, I have Game of Thrones. Did you peek at my?
No,
did you
you
peek at
said
my notes.
No, you said it. You gave us 3
Oh, did I?
things.
Oh,
for me
that's
to
right.
pick from.
I forgot to list them off.
I'm just a listening guy.
I usually give you I usually give you more vague things than that. I forgot that I gave you the specific. Yeah. So Game of Thrones: The Long Night is the name of the prequel show, the first of them that have been optioned of the 5, I believe, that were commissioned. And so I believe it was George R.R. Martin who announced that was going to be the title of it.
Yep.
But we have gotten casting news the last couple days about two of the lead roles. One of them is Josh Whitehouse, who I've never heard of before. He seems to be a youngish man.
Okay.
He is from something called Poldark, which is a drama on BBC,
Okay.
which I've never heard of before.
No.
Of more recognizable news, they also announced that Naomi Watts is going to be one of the lead characters.
I saw that. Okay.
And again, we do not know the role she'll be playing. I guess we'll be getting more news over the next coming weeks, because I see a tweet from George R. R. Martin yesterday in which he said, casting is now underway for The Long Night, the first of the Game of Thrones successor series to film. That was a weird typo. HBO has just announced the first cast member, Naomi Watts, coming on board as one of our stars. There has been some rumor, considering the time frame for the show, The Long Night, that this is supposed to be roughly 10,000 years in the past. And since this is supposed to be a big Age of Heroes type of story, some of the players from the histories and the side stories and stuff like that for Game of Thrones. So there is some rumor whether or not she is playing Lan the Clever, I believe, or is she someone who's related to Lan the Clever?
Probably related to Lan the Clever.
Because I think Lan the Clever was a dude, actually, now that I think about it. So someone related to him, because she is blonde, like the Lannisters. And she is, the one bit of casting news that they said was that she's playing like an elite, like noble lady with like secrets and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I don't believe they gave any specific stuff with him. Josh Whitehouse? Josh Whitehouse. But just looking at him, there is speculation that he could possibly be playing Bran the Builder, one of the northern, one of the old Starks, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for watching that. I don't care. If it's good, we'll find out, and I'll keep with it. If it's not good, no big loss.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I love Game of Thrones, so.
Yeah.
I really do hope that they do one of these other spin-off series, one of the 5, as the Dance of the Dragons, the original one, because that's just a mess. If you ever actually listen to or read about the lore of that whole civil conflict between the Targaryens, it's awesome, but also very difficult to track. So I think it would play out very well with kind of like the gritty, backstabbing politics of what we saw the first couple of seasons of this Game of Thrones seasons that we're watching. So I think that would play out very well in the series as well.
Let me just say, there was nothing civil about the conflicts that they had.
That's true.
Hey, if more shows mean that I get more specialty whiskeys like the White Walker that I have right now,
I'm so ready to try that.
I'm
in
all for it.
2 days.
So good.
Nice.
It's really good.
I'm going to be so obnoxious on Saturday because there's a lot of big, important college football games, and I'm going to be watching them on some screen in your house, whether it be my phone or one of your TVs or a computer, or I rig something to your cat. I'm going to be watching it.
All right. Sounds good. Do you have more news?
That is my final new.
All right. You have some nuggets still.
I have one nugget. So
all right, hang on.
you have anything
I've got
left?
some news. Well, I guess they're mishmash news nuggets. So let me go through these, and then we'll close with one of yours before we head into the movie. The first one was about Marvel reboots in the MCU. So new properties.
We're already rebooting?
Well, properties that the MCU is going to have access to, and what they should do with them. So there was some talk about like,
the Fox stuff.
Yeah, like what would they do? There was talk about like, well, there's a Doctor Doom movie that was currently being worked on that is going to inevitably be scrapped because of this transition, and there's the X-Men, and curious, what Doctor Doom? I don't care about Fantastic Four or Doctor Doom. I think for me with these properties, X-Men, if you wanted to reboot it, I think you would need to wait a while. But the Fantastic Four, it didn't work, and I know that the MCU is better than that, and they could probably make it work. But I don't think I would have the interest. Like, I don't think it would get me excited like something like Captain Marvel gets me excited, or one of the just any other, like even Spider-Man gets me excited.
Well, the thing is, they own the property, so I don't see why considering you can love him, hate him, or any point in between, the newer batch of X-Men movies has a fully fleshed out cast.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what time period you're talking about, you don't have to reboot them. Just find a way to integrate them if you want.
That could be
I'm
interesting.
cool with that.
If you want to integrate them, I think I'm on board with that for the X-Men stuff.
I think that's how you handle it, is you find a way to integrate some of them into the larger MCU and just kind of slowly tweak the ship to be on the same course. You know what I mean? Like, there doesn't have to be a hard reboot. You could do kind of a quote-unquote like soft reboot where you're just reframing where the storyline's going. But if you have the actors and they're under contract and they don't mind doing it and they're working with a director they like, what's the big deal?
If you can pull it off, I'm curious with I feel like they have a very strong hold over the MCU and its storyline and its time frames, that I wonder if they would actually do that, or if they would actually just try to have new versions of those X-Men characters.
Well, so the thing is, like, why do we have to go through all that rigmarole if it's going to end our ability to enjoy Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or anyone, like pick whoever actor, like James McAvoy as, Professor Xavier, anything like this.
What sparked this was like a more of just a fun article about like who would we want to play these characters, and it was phrased, I think, as like a when they were recasted, like as if if these things were to be rebooted, and that just got me thinking of, I don't really want to go through any of that again.
No, I mean, if they want to use characters in the immediate future, find a way to incorporate the ones that they want with the current actors and actresses, or like there's a million fucking X-Men. Like any of the ones that haven't been on screen recently, you can recast them going forward if you want. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you really need a new Logan, wait a few years and then you can recast him anyway. You know what I mean? Because there's already talks about rebooting him anyway. So just wait a few years and make it a clean slate.
Yeah, I guess if enough time goes by that I would like to see those characters again in a fresh take, then I'd be okay with it. But right now,
and then he's a new Wolverine. He's not the Hugh Jackman Wolverine at that point, and that's fine.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. As of now, I'm still got strong faith in them. They're doing a tremendous job over there. So
yeah.
The last one that I have here is just a quick thing I came across. There's a couple of 3 Netflix films that are going to be released in theaters, and specifically they're going to be released for award recognition, which I thought was interesting. So they were originally told by Cannes that they can't enter unless the films play on French cinema screens. And then they were given permission to enter the films, and then they pulled out. And then they're doing this now. And I just think that's like a really funny kind of slap in the face type thing.
I guess so.
Like, oh, you don't want to recognize this? We don't recognize you, but we're still going to put it in theaters.
We don't recognize your authority.
And I actually think that's kind of good with this. I like that this is this evolution of the film industry with streaming services. I understand that there could be some weirdness to it, but Netflix has been doing a pretty good job. They have a lot of really interesting, fresh content. I know that there's a lot of things that are misses, which is fine. That's going to happen when you're spending like however many billions of dollars a year it is on new productions. But I like the idea that they would be recognized, have a way to get recognized in theaters, and for awards like ceremonies and such. And I do really like the idea that a top tier movie that would normally just be released on Netflix gets a chance to go on the big screen, so I can see it there, because that is my preferred mode for watching a new thing, is in the theater.
Yeah.
So given the option, I will do it.
The thing is, at this exact moment in time, Netflix is really good at TV.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really wowed me with their movies.
Yeah.
They've started releasing a ton of content as far as movies goes in the last couple of years. None of it has really been can't miss.
Wait, you telling me you didn't love Bright?
I refused on principle to watch it.
Nice.
They do not release their statistics on viewership. They release their subscriber information, but not on viewership.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to contribute to their internal accounting of who watch that movie. I will never watch that movie.
Strong feelings.
But yeah, no, they have so many good and they have a ton of TV shows that no one cares about, or a ton of TV shows that are very niche. They have a ton of really good shows that have really good viewership. They consistently nail television shows. But a lot of their movies are really just like indie type movies, which is fine. And if people like them, that's great. I think I've only watched one Netflix exclusive movie, and it was fine. It was good. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't anything.
It was like groundbreaking.
Yeah, no way, shape, or form. And it's just weird to me. Although I do know from what I understand, they seem to be good at documentaries.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to be attracting a lot of documentaries that a lot of people seem to like.
They've got some good ones on there. It's funny. Last night I actually watched on Halloween. I watched the first episode of Sabrina, and I'm in. I'm gonna watch the rest of that.
No, there's a ton of great shows. All the Marvel stuff has been fun, the good and the bad.
Even though a bunch of it got canceled.
Yeah. Even though the Thanos snap finally happened.
Yeah, there it is.
House of Cards, and before it's Scandal. I'm
very curious about this season of it. I feel like it'll be entertaining to watch.
At this point, I just don't care. It's taken them so long to figure out what the hell they were going to do and stuff. I'm sure I'll watch it, but I'm sure. I mean, like Sense8 was really good, and they canceled that for whatever reason. And then I guess technically made a movie to finish it all up, but that was really, if you want to get into fan service, that's what that movie was. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it because I wanted an end to the story because it ended on a comma. And that gave it a period, even if it was a little cheesy.
Right.
But I don't know. They just don't. I know they've released a couple of comedies over the summer, I guess, or since the spring that people seem to like. But this is really the first time I'm hearing anyone give a damn about a Netflix movie, and they've been doing it for several years. Like Set It Up has been getting a lot of acclaim. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw it. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only Netflix movies that I've watched have been ones that are more like indie style. I haven't really, and I think for the most part they all kind of come across that way to a degree, which I'm fine with.
Well, the only things I can think of with like any sort of hype was Bright, which everyone knew was going to be a train wreck, and from what I heard is a train wreck. There was the Adam Sandler package of movies that are late stage Adam Sandler. And there's the Cloverfield paradox, which was noteworthy only because of the way that it came about.
Right.
And was announced.
Drop.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Because from what I've heard, objectively, it's a pretty terrible movie.
Yeah, I've not heard great things.
So I don't know. It's weird. It's a service that started out to supply movies to people, and they can't seem to get movies right.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Though you still get some good stuff, obviously, when they get the right licenses and can stream those things. So that's always good.
Yeah, no, the movies that they make available to you, plenty of them are good.
Yeah. Cool. What's your final nugget?
I have one final nugget. It's kind of a thought experiment.
Oh.
It was originated by a tweet by David Willis, who is the author of a webcomic that I read called Dumbing of Age. And he noted that Revenge of the Sith was the only Star Wars movie rated PG-13, and thus, should they have desired to, were allowed to use the F word one time. So, the question he asked was, if you were writing the script to Revenge of the Sith or rewriting it, where would you carefully place that one fuck?
Samuel Jackson flying out the window.
Yeah, that's a good one. I saw a lot of people bring that one up. Dominic, what about you?
I'd say, it's easy to say Samuel L., so I feel like I just have to throw it in somewhere else. So I feel like I would give it to Ewan McGregor when he's having that very emotional scene with Anakin after he's chopped his limbs off. And he says, "You were supposed to destroy the fucking Sith, not join them."
Oh, okay.
So
That's good, although actually I think it might even be a smidge better if it was you were the fucking chosen one.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Also, I think in that sequence, there's probably a couple of instances in which Anakin could scream "fuck," like when he got
He
his
got set on fire.
when he got set on fire, when he got his limbs chopped off.
What if it's one of the Tusken Raiders right as they get their head cut off?
Boy.
Like subtitled, but that's not
No.
into the though.
Nope. Oh, is it?
That's Attack of the Clones.
Oh, yeah. It all kind of blurs together for me.
Other candidates I saw for this were someone said, "Why not just kick off the text scroll with it?" Fuck.
That would be pretty good. Or just Yoda as he's crawling away, like in a defeated.
My other favorite one was when Anakin walks into the chamber with the younglings and ignites his lightsaber.
No.
If from the back of the room, one of the younglings was like, "Fuck."
That's terrible. That would be pretty funny, though.
So is the violent murder of children between the ages of 5 and 12.
Yeah, that's rough. Damn. All right. Cool. That's what a weird thing.
What a weird, delightful topic.
Yeah. All right, shall we?
Can I give one more recommendation for this, please?
Yeah.
I think when they're fighting over the lava and what's it called? He's trying to get through to Anakin one last time, Obi-Wan, and he's talking to him. He's like, "Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil." You could have thrown a good fuck in there. Like he's like exasperated. You see how angry he is that he doesn't get it. And he's just like, "Chancellor Palpatine is fucking evil."
That could work. It would, although I will say for any of these suggestions that we get, it would totally derail the tone and movement of the rest of the movie just because it's never been done in those movies.
People got up in arms over Poe saying, "What the hell?"
Really?
Yeah, and I remember I didn't get up in arms about it. I just found it a curiosity when it happened because it's just like, they've never used that, not because of the language, but just because it's a specific reference to like our society, not
right.
Star Wars.
Right, but it's a long time ago, so it could still be referenced.
I guess. It's just one of those things that it is a little bit like, that's like something from our lexicon making it into.
Right. No, that is funny. That is funny. So is everybody speaking English, but whatever. Then shall we get into our flick of the week?
Yeah, sure.
All right. We are here for I Love You, Man. And this movie, what a treat it is. I rewatched it to get prepared for this. Wrote a couple things down. I think a lot of this is going to be us just talking about our favorite scenes and lines because that's what this movie is. It's a series of wonderful scenes and lines. And it's comedic genius specifically because the chemistry between the characters is just absolutely on point.
Yes.
Every line that's delivered feels natural, and it feels like it could have been off the cuff.
Even the ones that purposely are creating like a pregnant pause or like super awkward scenario where the conversation falls, it still feels organic. It doesn't feel contrived.
Yeah. So, just for full disclosure, this movie's been out for a while.
10 years, I think.
So we're not doing the whole like pre-spoiler thing. It's a great movie. That's your pre-spoiler thing. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Then come back. You're nuts.
It's a beautiful movie.
It's so funny. So one of the things I love is the situations that our main character gets put into. So
like a very unexpected kiss from a man?
Yes. But just so perfectly executed. And not only that, the very elegant callback to it later is on point.
Which callback? Because there's a couple of them.
And that's kind of what I want to get at. So I actually wrote down here Joe callbacks as a general, like a general thing like that.
And it's like it's the little details that seem not important in the moment, or like, oh, that's a funny one-off thing. That's not a one-off.
Yep. So there's a double callback with this particular situation. So Peter is taken out on what he thinks is a mandate with a friend that his mom set him up with. Turns out the guy is actually gay and interested in Peter and kisses him at the end of the night.
Well, he believes it's not a mandate, it's a real date.
Right, exactly. So Peter, I guess, never really settles this. So eventually, he just doesn't. He never calls the guy. Never follows up with him, which you get because it doesn't happen while like on screen. So you just kind of assume that it's just done at that point. When the character runs into him again, he's hurt because it looks like Peter is in a relationship with Sydney,
Another man.
Yeah, which is amazing, just because I think they're in an embrace at the time that he sees them.
Yes,
and that's what makes it so funny, and that's what makes him so upset. And that's when that's the famous taste of betrayal line comes in.
Yes.
I know, Allie, I know you love saying it. What's the line?
It was the taste of betrayal, you fucking whore.
Now that right there was a long callback. That happened early on in the movie, and they brought the character back just for that one scene.
Well, because he has like this whole monologue that starts with him off screen speaking to the two of them,
Yep.
Peter and Sydney, hugging. And you just hear his voice, and it's like, wait, that voice sounds familiar. And he says, it takes a lot of guts, and they turn around.
Yeah.
Or I think he says, hey, Peter, and it turns around. And he says, it takes a lot of guts to share a beautiful evening with someone and then never call them again. And then he's like, wait, what? And he goes, when we kissed that night, and you see the look of shock on Sydney's face.
Shock and also delight.
Yes.
I would love to hear that, is what he said.
I actually have an explanation for this. He goes, I would love to hear it. And he says, to share a beautiful evening with someone. That night when we kissed, I tasted something that I hadn't in a very long time. No. It was the taste of betrayal. It wasn't the taste of betrayal. It was the taste of betrayal, you fucking whore. So good day, and then he signs off. and
that's what I love. So it's perfectly delivered dialogue, which is this entire movie. And it's a long form.
The writing in this movie is incredible.
It's absolutely on point. It's a long form callback because it happens that there's a significant, probably about 40 minutes between the scenes, and they're in no way linked up until that point, which is beautiful. But then what's even more amazing is how it's followed up with a quick callback right after that.
Yeah, like 5 minutes later.
Not even. It's
okay. Maybe 3
which
minutes.
Is amazing. It's just the "Your whore, Peter" line, which is just kind of in passing.
As he power walks past them and doesn't look at them.
Now,
"Your whore, Peter."
And that got me thinking about some of like is this a thing that's common throughout the movie? And it is. If you go back and watch a few other ones, here's what. So that was a quick callback. Was that one? We had the long form callback, which was the whole him coming into play again. There's a moderate one where the douchebag that Pete works with talks about getting his face on urinal cakes. And
if you walk into any Applebee's, Bennigan's, this and that, Fuddruckers, I think was one of them.
Yeah. And I think about 15, 20 minutes later, you get the line, I pissed on that guy's face at a Bennigan's once. Which is, he wasn't there when that conversation happened, which is what makes it so funny. Because just the linking of those two characters, like being in the same world, it's just so funny.
There was another one, it's not even like a joke. It's just for whatever reason, the way the line is delivered and by who, I find entertaining.
I know it's got to be the other one that I have written down. It has to be. Please go.
Which one do you think it is, or do you want me to say it?
Hank Mardukas.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, Peter, I don't really know why you never really had like a best friend growing up. Dad, who's your best friend? I have two best friends. Robbie, yeah, and Hank Mardukas. And then at the end of the movie, when he asks Robbie to be his best man before Cindy shows back up, and the dad hugs both of them and says, "You're both my best friends," and Hank Mardukas, and they all turn.
Hi, Hank.
Hi, Hank, and wave to them sitting next to the mother.
And I love a great callback, because that's like the signature of a really good stand-up, and how the show's coming to a close is when they do that callback. There's always like a strong joke early on that just it's made so much funnier by the callback that they do right before ending the series or the stand-up. And having that played out within the context of a comedy movie, I think is brilliant. Like, it works on stage. Why wouldn't it work here?
And I think even you can make a case that just the existence of Lou Ferrigno in this movie is an extended callback.
Yeah.
Because they talk about him a whole lot for the first half of the movie, but you never see him.
Fuck
And you could
Hulk.
easily go this whole movie with never seeing Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
Until you see him sitting with Tevin, the other guy
Tevin,
that we're talking about with the urinal cakes.
He's the absolute
And-
worst.
Oh, he's so bad. I do love that guy in general. In the league, he's ridiculous. He's funny. We were just watching a little bit of The House, that movie with Will Ferrell and the other guy from the league.
Rafi?
Yes, Rafi.
How was that movie?
It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
I felt like I very much enjoyed the second half of the movie. I found it to be entertaining, but it was the reverse of every other comedy in the world, where most of the good jokes are in the first half hour of the movie, and then it becomes plot driven. This one was like plot heavy early on, and I was like, oh, if this doesn't start getting funny soon, I might just walk out of the theater. And then it started getting funny.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, the various scenes where Will Ferrell is just going off the deep end and just chopping people's hands off as a way of intimidating.
Well, that's
them
what it
was
is.
pretty
They get
amusing.
ridiculous in the second half,
Yeah,
and that's
gotcha.
when it starts becoming funny.
He's basically like Gator, but instead of a pimp, he was the leader of a casino.
Oh my gosh. So, a couple of other things. One of the things that Paul Rudd does really well is make you cringe at how awkward he is making the situation. So, one of my favorites instances of this where like I end up finding myself holding my hands to my face and watching through my fingers is when he's on the phone and he's trying to call Sydney and he's leaving the voicemail.
Leaving the voicemail.
Yeah, so like first you get like a little like you get uncomfortable in your seat while he's thinking about what to say, picking up the phone and keeps hanging it up, picking it up and hanging it up and like psyching himself out. And then when he finally does do the call and he's just completely botching it, it like physical discomfort.
Well, because you immediately think of the worst call or voicemail you've ever made,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my god, this is 10 times worse and 10 times longer
Yep.
than the worst call or voicemail that you've ever left.
Hey Peter, it's Sydney Cleveland.
No, it's not.
Sydney, it's Peter Cleveland. Oh man, it's so funny, and the that kind of translates into the nickname game that goes on for a good portion of the movie.
The running joke of how it takes him the entire movie to try and come up with a nickname.
You
Does
called
he
me
ever succeed?
Pistol,
No, he doesn't
and I
succeed.
called you Jobin. It doesn't even
Yeah.
mean anything. That's one of my favorite lines of the movie. No, what did you say? I called you Jobin.
I called you Joe. Or like, hey, I have some leftover kookaroo. I was wondering if you want to come over for some lunch and a little jam session. Oh, some leftover kookaroo. That sounds about as appetizing as I don't know, a plate of dirt, or and then it's just silent for a second.
I will.
I don't
see,
know why I said that.
I'll see you then, or I'll see you on another time. That's very confusing. I don't know if you're going to show up. It's absolutely
Also,
hysterical.
possibly the best psychotic rant ever. You mind your own fuckhole?
Yeah. Yes. How about there's another callback for you though. We get that sequence when he flips out on the one guy while he's walking the dog, and then immediately. Well, the beauty of that scene is how immediately he turns it off and walks back into the scene. So after he screams at the guy, he then immediately calmly turns around and starts talking to Peter again.
Oh yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's beautifully done. And he's, I am a raging sea of testosterone. But so you get that, and then later on, when it happens again, but the guy is much bigger, and you realize, oh, there's a limit to when you can and can't do this.
Well, the best part is they set it up the same way. He turns around and he looks at him, and you're like, okay, what's he gonna do this time? And he just smiles. Peter, run!
Peter, run! Oh my god.
And then they do it one more time later after the two of them break up, and he's walking along the beach with Uggs and like
Oh
a
my God,
bathrobe
yes.
wrapped around him, and he's like sobbing, and that little girl like tramples on the shit, and she just starts screaming at him, and he's just like trudging away.
He waves her off.
Does he? I
He's
thought he
like
just
like
I thought
almost
he,
like an
like-
I'm sorry, but he's just like throws his hand up.
I thought he
He's
just-
so defeated.
put his hand across to like draw the robe tighter,
No, he like throws it up, almost like an apology. But it's
and she's just screaming at him, "But you can clean up your dog's shit, you shit giant."
he's a giant. Yes. Oh my god, that's great. What he is, I feel like he's on the level with Brad Pitt when it comes to eating in movies and TV.
What do you mean?
Jason Segel he eats in a lot of scenes, and in this particular movie, there's the fish tacos, there's the paninis, and then there's the paninis round 2, where he bursts out of the bedroom. This house is exquisite. I would like to make an offer.
Peter, please put down your treat for a minute. When they're eating the pineapple.
Yes. I feel really bad about what you did. Dude, you told my wife to give me more blowies in front of our whole family. You owe me one.
You make a fair point.
I just love how much food-related humor there is in that movie. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is when Lou Ferrigno calls Paul Rudd and when he's in his office and he's talking about why he's unable to sell his property. And he's just like, oh, we're having several more showings. He's like, there's been a lot of nibbles. He's like, nibbles? He's why? Nobody cares about your stupid sandwiches. Yeah. It's always about food with you.
No, I get it. We're trying to sell a house and not a panini. Paninis? and what's his name in the background just sitting there? Don't make him angry. You won't like him when he's angry.
And then he's as he's staring straight open.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno was a great choice for a cameo of just a random person in it, especially the scene later when Sidney and Peter are out in the town and they see Lou Ferrigno with his coworker, with Laura's coworker, and Sidney's all getting up in his face, and he's just like, you know what, Hulk, you made Peter a promise that
one more time.
Stop calling me Hulk. I have feelings. I'm a person. He's like, oh, I'm a person. Screw you, Hulk. And he just throws him in a sleeper hold, and he's just like, I don't think I can take him.
Actually, everything about that is like wonderfully executed. He's screw you, Hulk. He's coming in the sleeper hold, Peter. And you're also watching him talk to his wife, and then also flipping to his wife, saying, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And you hear in the background, Sydney's fighting Lou Ferrigno.
Why is Sidney fighting Lou Ferrigno? That's her line.
And then you hear over the phone, Peter, he's too strong. I don't think I can take him.
Oh my God. I love the sequence where they go on the double date. The you owe me one leads into the double date golfing. When he two things about that make me crack up.
That's another underrated callback too. Because earlier in the movie, when he's sitting, I think it was the first time he sat in the man cave with Sidney, he says something about, like, you don't like, I think he was on the phone. He said, why did you tell your wife that you took off from work? And he says, well, I don't want to lie to her. He's like, you're one of the most honest people I know. I would think you'd understand. He's like, oh yeah, I don't lie to women. I just don't tell them everything. He goes, certain things, oh, what do you tell your divorcees when you bring them here? He's like, it's my man cave. I don't, do everything with them here. I don't tell them everything. Like, I never play sports with them. And he goes, I went golfing with my wife, Zoe. I was really struggling to remember her name for a minute. I went golfing with Zoe a couple months ago. It was really fun. And he goes, yeah, it sounds like a fucking nightmare. Yeah. But he says it under his breath. And then
that's the line. That's really fun. I did not know that.
They do the scene later, and she rips the fucking golf ball off his shin, and he starts screaming, "This is my nightmare!"
What's amazing about that actually brings up another point. There's a lot of really funny under the breath lines that you notice when you watch the movie more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Like after that sequence, I didn't know my skin could bruise that quickly. It's just so dumb and so silly. And then when the people are complaining, rate of play, they're complaining because they're taking too long. And Sidney suggests that they pick the ball
super random cameo. That's Matt Walsh.
I don't know who that is.
He's been in a lot of things. He's one of the stars of Veep.
Okay. Actually, now I can picture him because I have seen a couple episodes of that show.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, so he picks up. He says, why don't we just pick it up and go down down the fairway? And Peter sides with him, and the girls are getting defensive about it. And then the girl that Sydney's there with quits. She's done. And during that whole scene, while she's storming off, he's going, "No, please, don't go. Oh no. Oh, please, no.
We'll miss you, please."
Yeah. I'm sorry. No, don't go.
It's so good.
Please come back.
There was another. So going back to Sydney though, and the introduction of the character when he's at the first open house, when Sydney and Peter have their first interaction, and he's describing the couple, and he's like, "I'm sorry, like they're not going to buy this place." Like he's just trying to like that whole thing with the whole they haven't even slept together yet. How do you know that? He's holding in a fart. That line is like that line's silly, but the line that gets me every time, and I'm actually not a fan of like fart and poop humor like type jokes, but when he lifts his leg, Sydney goes, "Boom, that's a fart." Like that for whatever reason, that one cracks me up every time. It's just the pure delivery of it.
Oh my god, you called that.
Roll down the windows in that Prius, honey. I'm thinking it's a little bit small. Yeah, and it smells like fart. Oh man, what a joke. There's how about the breakup scene?
Which one?
The breakup between Peter and Sydney.
Oh.
At the door when he asks for his second season of Lost back. I watched Chocolat last night. that was another callback. Chocolat was the callback in the during the wedding ceremony. It was. What did he say? It was revelation.
Yeah, I thought he said it was delightful.
Yeah. Oh, that might have been it. Yeah.
and actually, the best part about that whole thing is then J.K. Simmons, criminally underused in this, says, "What the fuck is chocolat?" to his son, and he goes, "I don't know." And the other gay guy who's trying to now hit on Andy Samberg, who's gay, leans in and whispers in his ear, "It's a beautiful movie."
Oh my goodness, that's you mean chocolate? It's chocolate, Peter. You're not fucking French. Chocolate with Johnny Depp. Oh man.
And then he's just sitting on the couch watching it and just like giggling, and he's just like, "Stupid."
Yeah. Oh man, this movie. There's so much of it that is entertaining. What about him in the fencing club?
Like suck a dick, Gil.
Yeah. It's just so like that's all of like the awkwardness, and it's early on. That's like still with. I'm pretty sure is that still within the first act of the movie? No, it's post first act. But like when
no, they do two scenes. One's in the first act. One's in the second act. The first one is when she says like when he first sets out on his quest to find friends.
Yeah,
they show him at the fencing class, and he fights him, and he hits, and he goes, "Oh man, great bout." And he's
great bout.
Fuck
great
me
bout.
raw.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was great match. And they walk off, and they walk into the locker room, and it's. I remember Aziz Ansari is in that.
Yep.
I completely forgot that that's Nick Kroll.
Yeah.
And they're all talking. And he goes, "I'm so sorry, man. I just got a little hot at it. I really didn't see that. Whatever move was coming. That was a beautiful move." And then they're just like another one of like super awkward where it's like they're not on the same page type of conversations as he's, oh yeah, we're all going out on this camping trip for the bachelor party that we're totally not inviting you to.
Yep.
Because we forget that you exist. He's like, "Oh, I got engaged too." Wow.
Congrats.
Great.
Mazel tov.
And then part of like the friendship montage later, Sydney's there watching him fight, and he's rooting him on, and he scores a point on him again. And he screams from across, "Suck it, Gil!"
Yeah, that's so good. While we were watching that sequence, I think that's what triggered some of it. There are so many people from Parks and Rec in this movie.
Well, Aziz and Nick Kroll, Rashida Jones,
Paul Rudd, and then there's a couple of random people that you come across that like had little appearances here and there.
I randomly noticed in the background that there's a girl from Always Sunny who had a bit part that was recurring. She's one of Zoe's friends. She's the one that Dennis marries, and then she eventually decides that she's going to become a cat, and then she died, and then they did the Making Dennis Reynolds a Murderer.
That was a great episode.
Wow, I definitely didn't see that.
That was over several years of the show.
Oh my goodness.
There's a great two-part episode of that show where Dennis marries this girl he kind of had a crush on in high school.
Okay.
Even though she's super weird and not how he remembered her. And they get married, and he immediately regrets it and like starts getting into like where he's like plotting her death.
Oh my god. That I would like to get back into that show and really watch the rest of it. There's as you know, huge fan of Armchair Expert, Dax Shepard's podcast, but I just finished up the one with Rob McElhenney on it, and it was great. And he goes in depth about the weight gain and weight loss.
Yeah,
and
it's brutal.
It's really funny though, and but it's man, I can't speak highly enough about that show. It is so good. The Armchair Expert. You gotta listen to shows on it. Like listen to some of the episodes. Go and find someone that you're interested in that's been on it, and just listen. You got about an hour and a half, 2 hours usually. It's really well done. It's a great.
Who
show.
else from Parks and Rec was in it?
What in I Love You Man? I'm trying to remember. There were a couple of side characters that I recognized as extras, but those 4 in particular were ones that were like immediately apparent.
Actually, one of Barry's friends was
the guy on the poker table, and the tall guy, the one that burps as he walks past him.
Yes.
Yeah, was he like one of the sanitation guys?
No, I don't think I can't remember if he was in Parks and Rec. He's not one of the sanitation guys, but I definitely know him. I just don't know if it's from that or if it's from something else. And then the other one is Jay Chandrasekhar from Super Troopers and all those.
Yeah. I never remember his name, but yes. Yeah. Oh my god, that poker scene is awful. When
you talk about cringeworthy moments when he just projectile vomits all over Jon Favreau's face.
I'm so sorry.
Get the fuck out of my house. Yeah. I mean, like, I know projectile vomiting is a thing, but the way that goes down, talk about not expecting something and being shocked in a movie.
Yep.
That was it the first time I saw it.
Absolutely. Also,
and then at the end, another callback, she, at the wedding, I guess it was in the post-credits, the wife pukes on him, and he goes, "What the fuck, do I have a sign on me?"
Yes.
And she says, "It's not my fault." He goes, "What do you mean it's not your fault?" I'm pregnant. And then the first time that you see him not being a piece of shit in the entire movie.
Well, and that's the thing. I love him in everything that he's in. He pulls off playing an asshole so great in this. Like,
see, this was one of the first things I saw him have like extended role in. So I kind of went with like the Ben Affleck syndrome, and I was like, is he just that much of an asshole in real life?
Oh, really? That's kind of funny. No, I definitely had seen him in other things. I love him. I love Jon Favreau.
He has some funny quips in that as well. Like just like the stupid little like she walks in to grab Zoe after like they had been separated for a couple of days, and he just walks by and he's staring at him, and it's like he's still so pissed. He just goes, "Nice face." It was like, okay, I feel like he should come up with something better. And he's the billboards. And he's like, "Yeah, they're really good." And he's like, "Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, my friend said I don't care." And he just walks off.
That's a great line. The other one that really gets me is when Peter's really like he's feeling loose. Sydney's there at the engagement party, and this what's his name? Jon Favreau's name in the movie. Barry is there, and he's talking to him, and he goes, "Do you play piano?" And he's like, "No." And he goes, because Sydney and I, we play instruments. He's like, I don't play. And he goes, "Because you have a piano in your house." "Yeah, no one plays it." "Oh, why do you have a decorator put it there?" He's just completely shutting him down at every line.
Specifically not making eye contact with him the whole time.
Yeah, and what did he just say? Like, "I'm gonna go over there."
No, so he like finally like he's because if you did play, or he goes, "I'm gonna check out the table," and he just walks away.
It's so rude.
Oh, sorry. Can we talk how alike Jon Favreau's wife and Margot Robbie look like? Can you pull up a picture on like IMDb of Jon Favreau's wife in the movie?
It's Jamie Presley. He was saying it during the movie. I was like, okay, I guess I can see it, but I didn't cross my mind until he said it.
I don't know. She looks exactly like a slightly older version of Margot Robbie.
I guess I could see that in this movie in particular. It wouldn't have crossed my mind though. But she's really funny in this.
Yes.
She's constantly just the constant bickering that the two of them have back and forth is actually hysterical.
Yeah. Well, it made me uncomfortable the first couple of times until I realized like it's just a thing.
Yeah.
And like that, even though they're so shitty to each other, that they don't actually mean it. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when you see that sort of thing, it's like, that's a really unhealthy relationship.
Right.
But like, there never actually seems to be any anger behind their words.
It's so funny.
Like, why don't you take her to Starbucks? Why don't you take your fucking friends to Starbucks? It's poker night here. It's a poker night here every time. I'm not taking her to fucking Starbucks. She can stay here as long as she wants. All right, fine. You're wearing a cheerleader costume tonight. Fine.
I'm doing it with the lights on.
Yeah, with the lights on.
Oh man, what a treat this movie is. Love it. You got any other notes?
Just that this is one of the most ridiculous concepts for a movie that you have. And somehow it doesn't really feel like it when you're watching it. This might even be more of a ridiculous concept than Step Brothers, honestly.
When I would say when I was watching it the other day, I was watching with Kirsten James, and I was like, we're like about 20 minutes in, I was like, this movie is really original. Like, the idea is original.
Well, yes and no, because what it is every rom-com ever, but it's not romantic. It's about bros. It's got the classic structure. It's got like a meet cute.
Yeah.
It's got this like initial like honeymoon phase. Then everything takes off. You get a montage of them getting closer together. And then the inevitable breakup because they took everything too fast and got caught up in it. And then the ultimate reconciliation.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for hooking me up with Elmo over there.
Yes. Everything you got.
You know what's another? That's pretty good. There was another line that I don't know if it's because I hadn't seen it in a while I was like floored. I was just hysterical laughing for a long time, and it was another J.K. Simmons one. And he's talking about Robbie, and I think he was talking about was his friends with the wrestling team or something, and he's like, well, Robbie was probably just trying to suck all their dicks. And Peter goes, Dad. And Robbie goes, no, it's true. and the dad goes, what? And Robbie goes, I made Dad an honorary gay man. they fist bump and do the explosion.
Dad's really cool about the whole gay thing. In fact, I made him an honorary gay last week.
And it's just that scene kills me. And I just love J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, I was surprised how like little they let him like be in the movie because like he's really just in 2 scenes and then like the engagement party. But does he even have any lines in that scene?
And the engagement party? No, he just has some pretty great facial acting.
Yeah, I think he's just sitting there. I don't think he says anything.
No. I don't think so either. Hank Mardukas.
And Hank Mardukas.
So good.
So I was scrolling through to see if there's anyone else. I don't really recognize anyone else in this thing. Other than that, I always forget. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the cast list as well. And one of the names of someone in the cast is Anwar Sadat as himself.
Yeah.
This is my puggle, Anwar Sadat, named after Anwar Sadat.
That's another. Yeah, that's a great line. I love it. You know, it's we didn't talk about slapping the bass, but I think it's just that's one played out. But the
I slap at the bass, man.
Why does everything that I do sound Irish?
It's great that that's the final banner. The luck of the Irish is him on the trailing banner from the airplane.
Yep. Isn't that special? That sounds Irish. Oh man, it's
the billboards. The billboards are pretty great.
No,
places to sell.
No.
Oh my god, like James Bond.
No, he's freaking out while he sees.
Fuck me.
Oh my goodness, it's. That movie will just put a smile on your face. You just watch that. It's all good. We didn't talk much about the relationship with him and his fiance, but it's really funny because that's not the primary relationship in the movie, which is what when you were talking about it being a rom-com, it's what kind of makes this funny. It's more about him and Sydney, but so much so that in the final sequence when they're getting married, the like 3-minute scene of them calling each other different bro names. Like that could have gone on for another hour, and I think I would have had like to get stitches.
Bro Montana.
It's too much.
Broseph Goebbels.
How about when Sydney walks on screen
and he's doing the procession on his own.
Yeah, but Lou Ferrigno is about to freak out.
Oh yeah, he starts charging down off of the platform.
So good. Oh man, is that what you play your bass? You play it up here?
No, Sydney, come here, and he just starts. He puts his hands in front of him, and he starts doing the one step ahead, like the procession down the aisle.
Oh man, what a gem this movie is. Cool. You got any other notes?
Wait, Sydney, you're lying. How does he know he's lying? Your voice got high. His voice got high.
His voice got high. That guy is funny, man.
Joel Julio?
Yeah.
Well, you like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
Yes.
Wasn't he on that?
Yes, he is. Charles Boyle, one of the greatest TV characters ever.
Wow.
He's amazing.
Have you ever seen that? I've never been into that.
No.
He never, ever, ever falls out of character, and it's perfect. And the relationship that he has with Andy Samberg in that show is, like, I believe that they're best friends. It's great. Dominic, do you have any other notes? Any other topics you want to cover on this movie?
No. I think we've covered it well and good.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Flix and a Six. Thanks for joining us. If you have a topic for the show or a movie you'd like us to cover, you can send those requests to flixandasix@spintune.com. We'll be back next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony. He's Al. The other one's Dominic. Cheers.